When I received the assignment of sky as my inspiration for the spring fling, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. I thought, clouds? Okay, maybe, but I just wasn't liking it. So then I realized I actually have the perfect inspiration for air. I have been flying since I was very young. My dad worked for an airline at the time, and so I never knew road trip. We always flew everywhere. And now I fly for my job. I teach, and I love traveling and flying. And I realize that I take the same picture everywhere I go because I am a window seat person and I am a window shade up person. So I have the perfect inspiration photo. I'm going to use this photo that was taken at my last trip to Hawaii as the inspiration for my project. So I'm going to show you how I turn a photo into a quilt pattern and then the quilt pattern into a quilt. So we'll work through all of the design process, including how I make the quilt pattern with EQ8, the program on my computer, and then I will pick out fabric colors and then we'll make the actual quilt and you'll get to see the actual quilt in the end. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've really turned from not so sure to excited about this project, and I am looking forward to seeing the end result. So I've imported the image into EQ8 and you can really just trace right over top of it. And then I like to have the photo next to it as well, just to reference, because as you can see, the EQ8 does a little bit of rendering. It kind of simplifies the photo, and so there's quite a bit of difference between the two. I actually like the lines in the sky here, so that if we want to do kind of a gradient, light to dark, they're kind of done for us. And then I'll definitely need it because this looks like land in the reference photo, but it's really ocean. It's just good to have that reference photo in front of us while we're working in EQ8. I like to think of foundation paper piecing as carving off a statue. You really start carving off the larger chunks first and make some good progress, and then you can kind of come in and do your fine tuning and detail work. But first we need to really get some large chunks carved off. A good point to start, this wing has some really nice straight lines, and I think that's going to be a really nice place to carve off a big chunk first. So let's start there. And I'm not really worried about like just complete accuracy, but I think we'll get the general idea just from essentially hinting at it. So I'm going to start carving off some of this land, and again, I'm not going to do every single little bit of that coast, you know, the ins and outs, and that's just a lot of work. I'm not doing that this time, but I will get the idea. I will hint at it. I will, you know, if it's curved, I will get some curves going. I don't want it just going to be completely blocky and boring, but we just don't need all of the detail that is here. I like the way that's looking so far. Okay, let's see what that looks like. So it's almost like we could use these lines that we've created off of the engines actually as our sky gradient. Let's look at it as a block. Oh, that's fun. I really like that. I like the shadows in the engines. We're going to add some detail to this wing. I really like that there's a reflection on the wing, so we're going to have to figure out that, but I really like that. I want to differentiate between sky and mountain and ocean. So let's give the ocean a tiny bit different color for now. Okay. So I think we'll actually get one more color out of our gradient once we add this wing. It'll just add an extra line in here that we can make use of. I really like this so far. So I'm going to finish up, and in the next section I'll show you the finished pattern, and then we'll choose our fabrics. Okay, so this is pretty much where I'm going to stop with it. I really like the engines and the shadowing there. I might play around a little bit more with it later, but for now I'm really happy with that. I like most of the lines on the wing. Some of them will actually show up more in real life. So there's lines in here that I've included in the piecing, but that don't show up in the rendition, and I think it will come across really well in the piecing, and then we can use it in the quilting as well. But otherwise, I like the gradient in the skyline. I think for the land and the clouds, I might try to find the fabric that will convey clouds, or I might experiment with like bleaching some fabric. I don't know. I think it's worth a try. Or painting. I'm not sure yet, but I just don't think I'm going to get the result I want if I try and do clouds in the piecework. So we'll do that in post-production. So at this point is when I really start turning it into a pattern. So I have several things I need to work through, several pages I have to create. First of all, I have to break it up into sections, and so I'll do that manually because I've given EQ8 a lot of information, and at this point it's kind of overwhelmed. In a simpler block, it would have broken it down into sections for me, but I've just completely given it too much to work with. So I'm going to do it manually, but that's okay. And then I will create the assembly guide so that we know what order we need to sew the sections together in. And I'll do a couple other renderings just so that we have reference pages. We need a coloring page maybe. And so I'll do all of that in EQ8 with just the various settings. So next time, we're gonna pick some fabrics in real life. I'm gonna finalize the pattern in the meantime and get that ready to go, and then we'll get to make the quilt. Bye.